ladies and gentlemen, what we mean by celebrate is that we are actively supporting the existence of progressive twist movies like this. But what we mean by progressive twist movies is that movie where the remake of it is following the progressivity value of our society, right? An example, for instance, the remake of Ariel movie that should be casted by white people, but instead the remake of it is casted by black people. And this progressive twist movie is not blocking the probability of remaking the Aurora film, for example, by casting black people or even lesbian, LGBT, or etc. The point is that they are minority, right? And in our status quo, there is already that kind of progressive movie is already exists, but as government, as proposition team, we want to support this kind of movies to be more supported, right? And our goal is as simple as to promote equality in the most enjoyable platform, which is movie, right? And in here today, I will bring three substantive. The first is that why this is justified. Second, why this is the most effective. And third, even if this is not going to be a good thing, but why it is still be okay. But first, let's talk about why this is justified, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, of course, we still upholding the meritocracy, right? Still upholding the meritocracy, but what we mean by that is that when that actor have the ability to do that, it's not going to be a big problem. And the most important thing is that we can show to majority that minority also capable on doing something. And the most important thing is that the value of representing their community, right? And why this would be an effective solution, because we know movies is fun, enjoyable, and less controversial rather than as people that do social movement in marching in the street, for example. This is less controversial than that and more enjoyable by our people, right? Rather than we are screaming, we are marching. It is more acceptable rather than that kind of thing. And of course, the value that they want to represent, the value that they want to show them is more acceptable to begin with, right? So that is why I think this is going to be more effective rather than the hard approach that they did in the first place. And let's talk about the worst case, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the worst case first. Even if the majority not accepting that black people that casting the Ariel, for example, why it is okay to not accept that to begin with. Ladies and gentlemen, we say that it is okay because to make the change, it will not as smooth as that, right? There will be an obstacle, of course. There will be people that disagree to us, of course, and of course there will be a different situation, and it is not what is supposed to be back then, right? So, but the change will not be happen when we are not starting. The change will not be happen when there is no different situation, ladies and gentlemen. But why we say that it is okay to be not accepted first? Of course, because it is a different situation. Of course, there will be people that not accepting it. But we say that this is the starting point. The reason why people are accepting something, the reason why people are get used to something is because they are habituated to that, right? And we want to make them too habituated to this kind of progressive movies, ladies and gentlemen. And if we do not start this to begin with, how can they be habituated to begin with, right? So, because our maturity is already habituated to watch a pretty white girl or a handsome white man in the theater, and they are get used to that, of course they are not accepting the other. So when we do the starting point, and they know they exist and they acknowledge them, and then after that, after we through that, they will get used to that. So at the end of the day, they will accept them anyway. And second, if it of course we consider that this will make a controversy, even if it is less controversial. Of course there's still a controversy in our society, right? But we say it is okay because let's just be realistic. In the eye of producer, this will make revenue higher, for example, because it's controversial. People will be talk about that a lot, right? And people will be curious. People will be curious about it, and people will be watch it anyway to know what's inside the hot issues right now, right? And we cannot deny that this is actually a good thing for both producer and for our progressivity of our society, right? So we say that in this scenario, we say that it is very beneficial for our people and also for producer, for income, for revenue, and in our progressivity of our society. It is beneficial anyway, ladies and gentlemen. So therefore we say that this is the harm that caused by that will be mitigated, and at the end of the day will come the good output anyway, right? And so by I am proving to you that this is justified because of the meritocracy that we still upholding, and the effectiveness that we say by using movie as a platform, and how the harm could be mitigated. We say that we are very, very proud to propose.